Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Britta, and here on Food with Feeling, we are making delicious vegan recipes for people like myself who aren't actually vegan, but who are striving to eat more animal-free recipes, more meat-free recipes, and just generally lead more of a vegan lifestyle, even if they aren't fully vegan or fully vegan just yet. For today's video, we are making vegan biscuits. Now, I grew up in the South eating biscuits every single weekend for breakfast, and maybe sometimes even during the week. I am completely obsessed with them, and I'm really excited to share this recipe with you because it is exactly like a good Southern biscuit, but completely vegan. If you follow me on Instagram, then you might have seen me talk a little bit about my friend Courtney. She is a baker in Nashville, and we met just shortly before I moved away from Nashville. Courtney has been helping me recipe test some of my vegan baked goods. This vegan biscuit recipe is one of the recipes that Courtney helped me develop. She sent me her initial recipe and I was obsessed with it, and I have made it about a dozen times since then. So I'm excited to be finally sharing the recipe and this video with you on how to make these biscuits. Today I'm going to be using this Country Crock plant butter. I'm gonna see if I can hold it up and get it. Yeah, there it is. I really like this butter a lot. This is not sponsored in any way. I would let you know if it was, but I have really been liking this plant-based butter, and Courtney's actually the one that turned me onto this. First of all, it's like the cheapest plant-based butter I have been able to find. It comes in two different varieties, plant-based butter with olive oil, and I think they have one with avocado oil. I just have found that I kind of like the olive oil one a little bit better. If you can find this butter, I highly recommend this brand for these biscuits, and they have a store locator if you want to try and find it. However, I've also made these with Melt, the brand Melt butter, and with, what's the other one that I have tried? It's like a really popular one. What's the vegan butter? That's it, Earth Balance. Whenever I'm trying to remember the name of something, I always freeze up in moments like this. Of course, Earth Balance is also a good one. The thing that I have found about the Mykonos or Mykonos, I can't remember how to pronounce that. The thing I've found about that butter and the Earth Balance butter is that they are very salty, and that's why I kind of like this one more, because it's not just like overwhelmingly salty. That being said, for this particular recipe, being a biscuit recipe, the saltiness is kind of okay, it works, and I would maybe just suggest adding a little bit less salt if you're using one of those butters that is kind of naturally more salty. If you're not much of a baker, I don't want you to feel intimidated by this recipe, because while it looks fancy and these just turn out so amazing, I promise this is super easy. It just requires 6 simple ingredients, and I'm gonna go over those quickly. So regular all-purpose flour. I know I'm gonna get asked this because I always do, if you can make them gluten-free. And the only way that I've tried this recipe gluten-free, which I did once, was with a gluten-free 1-to-1 flour. So just a flour, Bob's Red Mill has a good one, and then Cup for Cup has a really good gluten-free flour. And it just means that you can swap any all-purpose flour, just like 1 for 1. Like if it calls for 1 cup of all-purpose flour, you can use 1 cup of their gluten-free flour. However, I've never tried this with almond flour or coconut flour or anything like that. So if you try that, proceed at your own risk, because I have not tested that and I'm not 100% sure exactly how it would work out. So then besides the flour, we just need a few other simple ingredients, some salt. I like to use fine sea salt, that's my favorite. Milk. Now, the original recipe calls for almond milk, but I have also tried this with oat milk and it worked perfect. A little bit of lemon juice that we are going to put into the milk to kind of make like a buttermilk. It will curdle the milk a little bit and it's perfect. Baking powder, and finally some butter. Okay, so that's it for the ingredients. Super simple and basic. I am sure you probably have all of these recipes on hand already, and let's dive into making some really delicious and flaky vegan biscuits. We're gonna start out by mixing our dry ingredients together in a large bowl. So we're going to mix our all-purpose flour, baking powder, and salt. Next up, we're going to make a vegan buttermilk of sorts by mixing plant-based milk and lemon juice together. The lemon juice is going to kind of curdle the milk, which is exactly how you want it to be, and I'll show you a shot of this later. Finally, we are going to take our very cold butter and use a cheese grater to grate it. So as you'll see, we are just grating the butter directly into the flour. I found that vegan butter is a little oilier and melts faster, so kind of move quickly. I like to put my butter stick in the freezer for about 10 minutes while I'm prepping the other ingredients. You don't want to do too much more than 10 minutes, just about 10 minutes, and it kind of gets it really nice and cold, which is vital for this recipe to work properly. And then you always have this like little nub of butter at the end, and I just very carefully, because I don't want to grate my fingers off, just kind of like press it into the grate to get everything nice and grated. And then when you get down to the last little bit, kind of show you, when you get down to the last little bit, I just kind of push it through. So as you'll see, it kind of looks like grated cheese. And then from here, we're just gonna use our hands to mix everything in. The butter will kind of form back together just a little bit and kind of lump back together, but you're doing your best to just use your fingers to mix it into the flour. And at the end, you'll have kind of like little pea-sized bits of butter all throughout the flour, just like with regular biscuits that you would be making. Okay, so now that the butter is all mixed in, we will be pouring in the milk that has curdled. And I kind of wanted to show it to you. I'm gonna do an up-close shot where you can see how curdled this is. It looks really weird and it seems wrong, but it's supposed to be like this, I promise. The vegan buttermilk mixture gets poured over top of the dry ingredients, and then you mix everything together until it is just combined. The dough is going to be quite crumbly, but I will show you how to deal with that in just a second. Okay, so now that our dough is nicely mixed, you don't want to overmix it. I am going to get all of this off of the spoon and kind of clear out my workspace here. You're gonna get your fingers very dirty in the process of this. And I kind of hate using my fingers, but it's necessary for this recipe. So now I'm gonna take my flour and dust my surface very nicely. I like to dust kind of a lot, spread it out, push some to the side for later. And then I'm gonna flour my hands and dump all of this out. So now all we really need to do, there's no like kneading or anything, we're just going to form this. It's gonna be a little shaggy and there are gonna be like random bits that fall off. That's okay. You're just gonna kind of put them all together, and I kind of just work it until it all sticks together just a little bit. And then we are going to work it into a rectangle that is about 1/2 inch thick. So this is why I like to do videos for recipes like this, because I want you to see how crumbly it is. Like it's kind of falling apart a little bit, but that's fine. That's what it's supposed to look like. So I'm gonna form this crumbly mess into a rectangle. It doesn't have to be exact right now because we're not cutting our cookies out, about 1/2 inch thick. And I like to use this guy because it has measurements on it, so I can use it to see 1/2 inch, a bit more. Then we are going to cut this in half. You're going to fold this up over top of it, like so. Doing this is what's gonna create those like really beautiful flaky layers. So now we're going to, I like to turn the dough, flour underneath it a little bit, scoop up those extra little bits, and then we are going to press this back into a 1/2 inch rectangle again. Like so. I don't always measure it because it doesn't have to be exact. Press it out, and then we are going to cut it in half and do all of that again. Fold it over, move it, and then push it out into a rectangle. This is one of the things I want to show you, is that now you see that now we've kind of worked it a little bit, it's holding together, it's not nearly as shaggy. For the first few layers, it didn't really matter if your rectangle is perfect or if it was exactly 1/2 inch, but for this layer it does, because we are going to cut the biscuits out now and you want them to be, each one to be even. So I try and make sure that I have nice crisp corners and that the dough is even all across. And I can see that this like one corner is a little bit thinner, so I kind of just try and like pat some of the dough over to bulk it up and make it even all the way across. Now I'm going to be using this super simple biscuit cutter, but if you don't have one of these, you can actually just like use the top of a mason jar or something like that. The key here is not to twist. I think people are always inclined to like press down into the dough and twist, but if you do that, it'll really mess up those pretty flaky layers that we are going for. So instead, straight down into the dough and up, and do not twist at all. It's so tempting, but don't do it. wanted to show you that I have 6 on here. Well, you can see that. Focus on the biscuits. I have 6 on here, but the recipe originally calls for 8. So you could do 6 or you can do 8, whichever you like. I have a picture that I'll show you of what the biscuits look like if you make 8 of them. This just makes like a fluffier, taller, like extra flaky biscuit, and I love that. So I'm gonna put these in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes, and then I'll show you how beautiful they are after. Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, starting now.
Typical Portland weather, it has gotten super dark outside. So I'm going to show you the finals of these biscuits and then go eat them and wish that the sun was out. So these vegan biscuits are seriously the flakiest, just like most amazing I've ever had. I'm super excited for you to try them. I'm going to hold this up to the camera, see if it'll focus. Focus, focus. Oh my gosh, so look at all these layers. Cutting the dough in half and then folding it on top of each other is what creates all of these like really beautiful layers. And it's also why you don't want to twist the cookie cutter when you press down on the biscuit dough, because it kind of seals those layers off when you twist it. So don't twist. You want these really beautiful layers like this, and I'm really excited for you to try these. So I like mine with strawberry jam on top. That is just my jam. Yep, I said that. And you can have them however you want. Put like a little bit of vegan sausage on there. Minimalist Baker has a vegan sausage recipe that I've been meaning to try that I think would taste amazing on these biscuits. And yeah, I am looking forward to seeing you making these biscuits. Please tag me on Instagram if you do. And please, please, please give this video a thumbs up. That helps my channel out a lot. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. And thanks for tuning in. I will see you at my next video. Bye guys. I want to show you what happens when I ignore my own advice and don't make the biscuits the same size. Like I thought that I did, but look at this dinky biscuit. It's still going to taste good, but make sure all of your biscuit, each one is the exact same size, or when they bake, it becomes very obvious that you had one kind of janky one.